Which is the fastest growing platform, digital platform? TikTok, excellent. I did not think anybody was going to get that. That's awesome. Has anybody used TikTok? Okay, it's the one where you play music and you sort of like, yeah, and then you get like 1 million views, right? It's crazy. As ODs, you know what? I'm not going to judge anybody who's using it out loud, but. Thank you, Peter. And I apologize. I was born in England, but I don't have an English accent. I know. I might. Anybody watch Friends? I might be like Ross and just put one on. All right, mate. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. No, it's gonna be brutal. But thank you, Peter. Thanks for the intro, and I want to say a big thanks to BCDO for giving me the opportunity to speak. Well, thank you for coming out and taking the time, because I know there's all these other really important lectures, dry eye and ocular disease and all the other stuff. And so a lot of times this kind of thing gets kind of neglected, not put that much importance on. But it is something that I have personally spent a lot of time, like Peter was saying, spent a lot of time kind of digging into and looking for the benefits of branding and marketing and primarily on social media, online platforms. And the first little bit of this, I want to talk a little bit about the branding aspect and how we can utilize our brand if we hone it and we really diligently kind of craft our own brand. And that's individually and professionally, a corporate clinical practice setting as well. And that's kind of the important distinction I kind of want to make here, is the fact that we are in a time where we can personally brand ourselves as an individual, and that will then help us brand and market our company. And that's kind of the important thing I want to take away. Now, first off, actually, before I start, just a quick raise of hands. How many ODs do we have here? All right. Staff? And everybody else can leave. It's you guys. I'm just kidding. And then industry people. Hands. Come on, guys. I know who you are. There you go. Okay, cool. Just for my own. So most of the talk's going to be geared towards kind of, at least the beginning part's going to be geared towards kind of optometrists, and how I'd like to encourage ODs to brand. But staff that's here, please take away. I hope you can take away some useful insights that you can either encourage your ODs or at least implement in your office in general. So the first question I'll ask you is, what is a brand? Anybody want to give me a quick? An equity. I like that. Well, that's not what I was thinking, but that's fair. Anybody else?
Reputation.
A reputation. Ooh, very good. Consistency. Style. Really good. Persona. Okay, amazing. You guys are way ahead of where I was expecting to start this conversation. That's awesome. But those are all the things. Now, a lot of times we get stuck in a brand being a logo or an icon or some kind of artwork. But all of these things are so important, and we can extract those, the reputation, the persona, the class, the style, all those things, and put it into a person, right? So we can start thinking about people, human beings as brands, like Steve Jobs, for example. What do we think about when we think of Steve Jobs? Apple, iPhone, technology, turtleneck, right? And I'm serious about the turtleneck. That's half joking, but serious. And then how about Serena Williams? Tennis. Muscles. I was actually really fortunate. A year ago, I was in Australia. I went to the Australian Open. I got to see Serena Williams like very up close. She's a beast, holy moly. But she is, but in a good way. I mean, in a good way. Obviously, athleticism, champion. She's got her own style, all that kind of stuff too. And so I want to take those concepts, and I want us to, as ODs, to try to integrate those things in our own brand as well. But to go beyond a brand. So a brand, unfortunately, again, we kind of tend to relate it to a logo or a piece of artwork or an icon. We need to take that a step further and build trust with our patients and potential clients. And this is the term that I love, is Lovemark. And Lovemark was coined by a man named Kevin Roberts, who was the CEO of one of the biggest firms, marketing firms in the world, Saatchi & Saatchi. On the top left, that's a brand, right? That's your Forever 21 or something like that. you don't have that much love, but you respect the brand, you recognize the logo, you know what it means. We want some of that. We want people to be able to recognize who we are as a human being. We want us to recognize what our clinic stands for, but we want them also to have a lot of love for us. And that love comes from, I'm going to reverse this a little bit, reverse engineer love a little bit, comes from trust. And how do we build trust? We have to kind of show our true selves to our patients and our potential clients and everybody else. And that's where I want to go into the social media chat in a couple of minutes, is social media gives us this platform to show people who we truly are. And we kind of get caught up in the idea of showing this polished self, right? If you think about Instagram, if you're on Instagram, you have your feed, right? If somebody goes to your homepage or your feed, they see all these very nice posts with these really well manicured captions and everything. But that's not who we truly are. That's just like the outward persona that we want to put out there, that we're clean, we know what we're doing here. But the stories and the other things that social media let us do, that lets us build the trust. That shows the behind the scenes. There's a reason that reality TV is as big as it is. It's because people kind of want to see the raw, the unedited, even if it is slightly scripted. And that's how we get the love and the respect. So when we're doing those things, again, to stick on the topic of branding, when we're doing those things where we're putting ourselves out there and trying to show our true selves, there's three important, the key steps that I call to digital branding. And branding in general, truly, even if it's in person, because branding is in person and online. The number one thing is provide value. So no matter what you do, when you post a story, whether you put a post up on your Instagram feed or Facebook, or you meet someone in person, the number one thing I want to do is provide value. Unfortunately, on social media, we get caught up with advertising and trying to market and promoting a brand or glasses or this other thing that we do. But number one thing is to provide value. If everything you do was with the intention of providing value, patients will start to trust you more. Right? So that means you're putting out content which is going to educate the patient. It's going to help them in some way. Educational content is free now. We used to think about somebody had to pay me to come and get this information from me. Now we have to think about putting it out there for free so we can start to, number two, engage. And engagement starts with as simple as if somebody comments or likes your post, you respond to that. But truly engaging means to get out there and to engage with the audience and in fact reach people who don't even know you exist. And again, social media lets us do this. I'm sure you've seen hashtags floating around everywhere now, and they tend to get overused, but hashtags are extremely valuable in this sense because you can search key terms, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and then you can look for posts related to those terms and you can start engaging with people. You get out there, look for common terms, common topics, and start to post, interact with people, engage with people. You'll start to find people will start to come to you. And then the third thing you need to do is be consistent. I think somebody said consistency as well earlier. Was that you? And that means two things. Number one, that means posting regularly, right? Putting out content on a regular basis. And we can have a lot of discussions about what the right schedule is and how much content you should be putting out. Some people put out a post a day, 2 or 3 posts a day. I definitely do not do that. But the other thing is important is we'll be talking about different platforms and posting consistently across platforms. And that's actually the key. When we have a brand, you have a voice, and you have a tone, you want to make sure that that's spread equally across the few platforms that are valuable to us. So here are the platforms. So I have some questions. Here's some of the platforms, right? These are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. I have a question. Feel free to shout it out. What is the biggest, by number of users, what is the biggest platform? Digital, social media, Facebook. All right. Which platform has the most daily or monthly active users? Facebook. All right, so Facebook is not dead. All right, contrary to what everybody was saying, Facebook just isn't growing as fast as it used to. It's still the number one place that we need to be. All right, and for other reasons that we'll talk about afterwards. Okay, so what's the second biggest in usage or the number of users platform? This is based on 2019 data. Excuse me, sorry. Instagram. Not Instagram. YouTube. YouTube is. All right, so Facebook has 2.5 billion or something. YouTube has just over 2 billion as well, users, right? So YouTube is massive. It's a monster. There's a lot of things we can do with YouTube. We'll touch a little bit on that. Which is the fastest growing platform, digital platform? TikTok, excellent. I did not think anybody was going to get that. That's awesome. Has anybody used TikTok? Okay, it's the one where you play music and you sort of like, yeah, ta, ta, ta. And then you get like 1 million views, right? It's crazy. But it truly is, it's the fastest growing. They're putting insane amounts of money into it. It's popping up everywhere. But is it really valuable to us as optometrists? I see a lot of MDs, actually. I see a lot of medical doctors using TikTok and building their social media. But those are MDs who are working in a hospital and don't need to bring in new patients. They're not out there to market and bring in new patients, right? As ODs, you know what? I'm not going to judge anybody who's using it out loud. But if, you know, I'd be interested to see, I have seen a couple ODs use it a little bit, but you have to kind of use it, you have to be real subtle with it, right? You can't be too flamboyant. I think it might affect our patient's perception of us a little bit. But, you know, this is important. So you want to pick the platforms that are valuable to you, that will get you what you're looking for. And that's important, of course, is to know what your goal is.